1. Okay, great. Looks like we're recording, Edward. So you're from Germany, and you contacted me in relation to one of my Christian videos because you've had lots of experiences yourself, you've wrote books yourself, so we've probably got a lot of stuff in common. Really, only I think you're more of an adherent to the belief than I am, even though I've had peculiar experiences which are kind of like pretty unfathomable. But I'm still, uh, um, I just don't know whether I could be the sort of person which goes full blown into being a believer. I don't think it's my nature. What do you think about that?
Um, no, no, this is not the goal. The
No?
goal, no, the goal in our times is not to be a believer, but knowledge, to know.
Yes, I like
We
that.
have to know.
Yes,
But this is our time.
right.
Yes, in the past it was different, and true knowledge in mysticism, it was just for very few people.
Yeah,
Yes. But the times have changed, and
yes.
and it's time for knowledge, also for the Christians. This it has to stop because the Christians, it doesn't work properly anymore. Obviously, I mean, you
Y-
see it. The
Yeah,
churches are empty, and the people give. Okay, they give nothing. Most people don't really give anything about Christian belief. I mean, seriously.
yes. Well, you know, I think that's pretty true for Britain and Germany, but we've got a lot of weirdos in America. All due respect to weird Americans watching me, America has a weird way about it with religion. They are pretty fanatic over there in the Bible Belt, and there's not a lot of difference, in my estimation, between those and then fundamental Muslims. They've got this level of sheer dogmatic belief, and they are not about to reason in any shape or form, and it doesn't seem to matter how you present your logic and reason and questions. They just keep falling back onto this bizarre state of security, which is their dogma. Now, I may be tentatively, I'm working on it, having a conversation with someone who I think is American. And, he's obviously come to me because of what I've been saying about Christians, and he claims he's open minded and all these sort of things. But I've had so many of these people, Edward, over the years, and they've never came forward. So it just says to me that, they're all mouth. They've got the dogma, in text, but they'll never show the face. They'll never stand by their conviction or their religion. They've got no balls. So I'm publicly now calling them all out. Because, like you say, it's time now to stop this bullshit and hiding behind your one-sided dogma. Put all this stuff on the table and let's look at it.
Well, yes. So you are talking mainly about the evangelicals,
Mm-hmm.
Protestants.
Yeah.
These have been. This is a branch that has been created by Martin Luther.
Right.
Martin Luther, he was this German guy. Yes, and he was like doing a rebellion against the Catholic Church,
Yeah.
and he said that that this church is evil, and they should allow to marry. This is bullshit that the priests are not allowed to marry,
Yeah.
for example, and all these things. And he started this sola scriptura cult.
Right.
Sola Scriptura. So there are 5 solas. I don't know if you know it. It's a special thing. So every evangelical knows it, and it adheres to these so-called sola. Sola means only,
Yes.
just only.
Right.
And one of them is sola scriptura. That means only the scripture.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that means the scripture is the word of God.
Yeah.
And it means that literally each and every word in the Bible is supposed to be directly from the highest God.
Yes.
Yes.
Is that a bit like the Puritans in Britain
Uh,
and America?
Honestly, I can't tell you. I don't know much about the Puritans.
Yeah, because they were pretty pure to the Gospels, to the text, without any variances or anything like that. But I don't know that much about them, so we'll probably
I guess
just.
they work a lot. Is that true? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So I don't have the huge overview. There are many denominations,
Yeah,
like more than 300 basic denominations
yeah,
that have essential differences that do not allow them to unify. More than 300. Yes, there's even an encyclopedia of denominations and stuff, and they have sorted this out. And I mean, in the 70s, it was 300, and
yeah,
now these are more. And it's a huge problem to talk with people that say the Bible is the word of God only, and we reject anything else, just not the Bible.
right.
And this is a problem because you cannot talk with them about anything else.
Yeah,
And the second issue is that they only accept these interpretations according to their own ones
yeah,
and nothing else. So if you start to say something different in some basic theological points, they just cut.
cut it off. Yeah,
Yeah, they say, and they say, they even go further. They say you are satanic. It's a sin. They say it's a false doctrine.
yeah,
So I give you a very common example. It's the doctrine of well, what do I take? So I'm dealing with a Christian lady. She's a very nice girl, and I like her a lot. I mean, from the heart. Yes, I consider her to be a child of God, something. Okay, but she's from the Seventh-day Adventists.
yeah.
Is it right? I hope so.
Yes,
And
Seventh-day Adventist. I've heard of those.
yes, and they adhere to the Sabbath.
Yeah,
So they say the Sabbath is the holy day, not the Sunday.
Saturday, Sabbath. Oh,
It has to be the Saturday.
yeah,
And they say this is the last day of the week, and it has to be like that. And if you don't consider this to be holy, and if you don't celebrate this exactly this day, the Saturday, then you are like following a satanic doctrine. Because they say the Sunday was introduced by Satan, basically from the back. And well, what can you do if they tell you that you are dangerous? They tell you that you are dangerous because you follow a false doctrine by accepting Sunday as the seventh day of the week.
yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
No.
But on the other hand, I mean, this is not what Christianity is about. Really, not at all. Christianity is about so many things, but it's not. I mean, yes, it's like this law, the seventh day. Okay, this is a thing. Well, you could, well, not many Christians do not believe so strictly in this law.
Yeah.
For reasons, and they also have their reasons.
Yes, and so when we
Yeah.
look at all these varying offshoots and sects of something that most people, in their ignorance, would consider is the same faith, they're really not. They really are very different faiths in lots of ways. And I suppose, all these things present to the uninitiated lots of problems that we can't really gauge and see initially, particularly for me. I don't know who I'm dealing with when I get comments from these people who they just say, repent, it's Satanism. And it's like, wow, where are you guys coming from? I'm just exercising my right as freedom of speech, and I've got an opinion on my own experience. But what I'd like to start to do, obviously, because I never intended to go on this path, Edward, and I don't know whether you did, but I found myself on it, and I found myself pretty embroiled within it in view of the experiences that I've had, which when I had them, I was under no doubt that it was Jehovah. It wasn't Yahweh. It was Jehovah. That particular energy, and then Jesus, and then I've had angel visitations, and then I've been confronted with what we could consider the devil himself, those very, very deep negative energies. And so I know that these things are there, only I just can't slip into the dogma that is all that's there, and they are called X, Y, and Z, because these things have been called different names all over the world for a long, long time, thousands of years before the advent of Christianity. And so I'm open to what these energies are, astral beings and other spirits when we have different states of consciousness. But it's just curious for me why I intuitively, instinctively, without a shadow of a doubt, knew that I was dealing with Jehovah on one occasion and Jesus on the other. And it's kind of like, okay, right. What am I going to do about that? How am I going to get to the bottom of what these experiences are? Many people would just like buckle and say, well, obviously it's God, and obviously I'm being given the message and now I must follow. I'm like, well, I don't know whether they're God or not, because when we look into, who the demiurge was or who Jehovah was, there's lots of roots to Anunnaki and all these different sorts of things. And when you read the Old Testament, doesn't sound like any benevolent God, and particularly in view of the fact that they speak of the Elohim, gods. Well, there seems to be quite a lot of them around at the time, and that would comply with the Anunnaki literature. So, what are your feelings or knowledge about those sort of things?
Well, we're talking about experiences.
Yeah.
You made your experiences. You didn't ask to be in contact with Jesus or
No.
Jehovah. You didn't ask them to come.
Yeah.
Or something, and they came, or something came that you felt to be them. Okay.
Yeah.
So these are your experiences, and for me it was similar in a certain way. So I normally you say, well, I came to the insight or feeling the strong conviction that Jesus is true through my connection to the Father. And so if you connect to a spirit, to a power, then if you love the spirit, and God is just, it's a spirit, of course, it's an entity. So this is just for you, that you maybe you I don't know if you ever heard it, but so there in Christianity there is a God who is sitting on his throne it's in the causal plane. Of course they don't call it like that.
Yeah.
But he's huge, and he's beautiful, and he's also very scary at the same time. And he's mind-blowing. This is the the God on his throne.
Yeah.
But when he is acting here on earth, he's here in he manifests himself as an angelic spirit. It's God, but he manifests himself as a spirit at the same time. So he's on his throne, but at the same time he's also present here on earth as a certain spirit, and it's called the angel of Yahweh, Jehovah, whatever you might call it.
Right.
Yes, this is also a point where they argue.
Yeah.
Some say it's Jehovah, some say it's Yahweh, and some even say you have to use this name, and otherwise you are a sinner or whatever, which is, of course,
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, not being steeped, indoctrinated, or have any relationship with any of that stuff, I'm not under the jurisdiction of having to call what I experience anything other than my intuition that told me that. Now, probably the only reason my deep higher self or cosmic consciousness, or maybe even the voice of God, himself telepathically telling me that it was Jehovah, because I was introduced to the Jehovah Witnesses, which had a profound effect upon me when I was 27 years old. And I write about this in my book, when they came knocking on my door and they gave me some books, some starter books. And I had no other relationship with any other Christian sect. And so I suppose through some avenue in my psyche, then this voice in my head speaking to me, my unconscious assumed that it was Jehovah. We have to look into all these possibilities as to why these things come about. And if I, had some profound experience with Elohim or Yahweh, then I suppose it would have been that way. And if I was, let's say, from the Middle East, and I had some sort of, spiritual awakening, then I suppose it would have been Muhammad or Allah instead of Jehovah or, Yahweh, because these things work culturally, I'm sure. So in relation to your experience, how did your experience come about? Were you a believer? Were you self-inducing this stuff? Were you in prayer? Were you going to church? How did your meeting with this spirit come about?
Oh my God, this is so huge. It's so huge. So I wanted to say something related to what you just said.
Yeah.
Because so a spirit is capable to give you an imagination, a picture, a thought, a feeling, or even a subtle feeling, or some whatever. A spirit can give you in anything.
Yeah.
So if there is a spirit with you, he can project, and regularly he does it. Of course, he projects a picture of his own self in your mind. But it does not necessarily have to be what he really looks like. It's never what he really looks like. So it's what they want you to see them.
Right.
Yes, they're just giving it in to you.
So you're using plural here from the get-go. You're saying they want you to see them in a certain way.
Well, it's commonly spoken.
Right.
Like, I mean, we're dealing with spirits all the time, and everything is about spirits. Everything is about spirits.
Yeah.
All our meditation experiences are initiated, well, the spirits are with us, and they take care of us, and they do it. They take our soul and pull it up. This is what they can do. They are giving us imaginations. They help us to focus on whatever, on our third eye. They are giving us energy. It's all about spirits of all kinds. This is what happens in the background all the time. Yes, this is what most people do not ever consider. Yes, So
In my book, which you've bought in your reading, and I appreciate that, I
yes,
speak about negative energy attachments, spirits. I speak about astral spirits. I speak about spiritual manifestations whilst being asleep and the body being unconscious, but a certain part, spirit, being absolutely alive and awake and having an experience with angels giving me a message. So I've had lots of encounters with varying energies and spirits. So I absolutely know that to be so. And so the thing is, what I suppose any of us who have had these experiences, we ask why us, and why don't these spirits use their power to do this to everybody, and to have a blissful world. If it's within their power, it seems like they must be pretty weak, really, if they can only work very tentatively with the odd person here and there.
oh, they're very strong.
Mm.
Simply because of the fact that they have a higher body, they have astral bodies, causal bodies, and they are much more powerful than our physical body.
But we
Much
have astral bodies and causal bodies and
also, yes, we have them also.
pain bodies and emotional bodies. We have all these different sorts of bodies.
Yes, we have them, but we're actually not using them consciously, properly, regularly.
Yeah.
So when we sit in meditation, prayer, whatever, yes, then we are like below them. Yes, and they can use their powers to do many things with us.
Mhm.
But okay, so I'm coming back to your question, because this is really interesting. How do we come to our beliefs or convictions, whatever, concerning Jesus and Jehovah and stuff? So for me, it was like, okay, basically there was a moment when I was like crying in front of a cross in the landscape.
Mhm.
So there were years, so I was living quite isolated in the years between 2015 and 22.
Mhm.
I had 7 years. I was totally in my own space and working on the path. It was
Mm.
just working on the path. I started to meditate like with 3 hours daily. Yes. And then more, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8
Right.
on a regular basis.
Yeah. And of course, we can't get a full picture of everything, but in brief, at this stage, was there any particular reason why you was on the path? What happened? Because in my book, you'll read that my ego imploded due to enormous amount of stress, and then I went into the dark night of the soul for 7 years. So,
Yeah.
what experience did you have which plummeted you
Interesting.
down to those depths?
You said you started 14 years ago.
Yeah,
Yes. So you are 60.
yeah,
Is it right?
yeah.
Okay. So you started in the age of 44.
44, yeah.
44.
Mm.
Nice. Okay. So I started
Or
my
46, wouldn't it be? 46.
sorry,
Yeah,
14. Okay, I can't calculate the
yeah,
simple things. Sorry, my brain
yeah.
malfunction. Okay. So well, I started at the age of like 12
Right.
with tarot cards.
Ah.
Yes, predictions and stuff.
So
And
you was already looking for something at that age?
yes, I did it. I mean, I got the cards. I tried. I used the pendulum,
Mm.
Jing, Oracle, and I had the strong urge to leave my body.
Right.
That was my dream. I wanted.
Because your body was in pain, because you were so
Oh,
disappointed with the body?
I knew that it's possible, and it was intriguing. It was so fascinating. The
Right.
imagination, like leave your body flying around, watching people
Yeah.
doing some stuff, whatever. It was so fascinating, and I felt this is possible, and I want to do it. I want to leave my body. I want out of body experiences.
Yes. So
And
that's what I did, because I heard about this and I thought, well, I've got to do it. So I trained myself to do it, and then I did do it. So we've got a lot of similar stuff going on between the two of us. So
the same for me, same experience.
yeah. So at 12 years old, then looking into tarot cards, what did the tarot cards tell you?
Oh God, this and that. So it took decades for me to understand
Yeah.
that it's a spirit who is giving the cards. It's a spirit who is moving the pendulum.
Right.
Of course, you can see that it's your own self.
Yes.
Yes, assuming, I mean, if you take a camera, you do it for yourself, of course.
Yeah.
But it's a spirit within your own self. It's a spirit.
Yeah.
You're communicating with the spirit, or you allow, or you even ask a spirit that you don't know. You don't know what spirit it is. You just ask a question, and then whatever it is, he can give you any kind of answer.
Right.
Yes, and the spirit, he knows exactly what the cards are.
Yeah.
He sees them, and he knows what is behind.
And do you think these answers are inherently true and positive, or do you think there could be levels of deception?
Oh yes, there can be any kind and type of deception, but it also can be true. It totally depends on the spirit you're dealing with.
Yeah. So on the premise of that, there really is no point in doing it, is there?
Well, it depends. If you have, so my mother is doing it. She does it even today, after 3 decades or 35 years even. She's still doing it.
Right.
While I left it long time ago.
And so were you introduced to these tarot cards because she was using them at the time and you knew about them?
She found the cards in my room.
Oh, she found them in your room. So
Yes.
you got them from somewhere.
Them because she was so intrigued.
Oh,
She started because of me, because she found the cards in my room. But she was like doing something she was not supposed to do.
Right. So was she a bit freaked out? What are you doing with these? You know, my 12-year-old son, isn't this evil, or isn't this something that, you know, you shouldn't be messing with? What was her perception on that?
No, she had an atheistic consciousness. Yeah. She was completely atheistic, and I myself, I was also, well, between like 6, 11, I was not really a believer in any kind, in any way. So I had basically my consciousness was like of an atheist.
Yeah.
These years, like 5, 6 years. It's the second 7-year cycle. Yes, from 7 to 14, maybe. Well, this is like a time that is it's a part of a 7-year cycle. Did you ever hear of the 7-year cycle? Did you?
Lots of things.
Lots of things, of course you did. Okay. Yeah. Fine. So that it matches like perfectly. But okay, it's nothing special. So well, the cards, okay, fine. But the real journey began around 16 or 17, when I started to meditate like 1 hour daily, focusing on my third eye, with the intention to leave my body. And I did it 1 year, like daily, 1 hour. But no one told me, nobody told me to do this. I did it because I felt this, I have to do this. This is the right thing to do.
And you didn't have any instruction how to do it. You just decided that, well, if you focus on your third eye, then if that's your intention, then you can leave the body.
Yes, it was, and call it intuition.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
yes, in that time there was no internet
No.
at all.
Hmm.
You just had some, maybe you could get books at public.
Probably the only book at the time was Robert Monroe, Journey Out of the Body.
Yes. these Robert Monroe, yes.
Yeah.
These books, but I didn't even read them properly, like maybe one or two. Yes. But I felt this was the thing to do. And then it happened. After 1 year, it happened. Suddenly I was in a tunnel and I had that roller coaster type of thing. And I remembered my first experience, my first out of body experience when I was a baby, a 3 months old baby in the arms of my mother. I remembered because it was the same tunnel.
Ah.
Exactly the same tunnel.
Right.
And well, okay, so and this and that and this and that and this and that, and then the journey started, and I continued to meditate, and then the spirits came to me, and I had so many out of body experiences, and well, but it got dark and darker and darker and darker. And in the end, I was just attacked all the time by evil spirits.
Right.
I couldn't sleep anymore. I went to bed, I closed my eyes, and in like 10 seconds or something, I was out of body, and there I was surrounded by evil spirits that hit me and pushed me and laughed about me and stuff. I couldn't relax anymore. I couldn't sleep.
Right.
So I searched for help because I knew something has to change. I need some assistance, guidance, help, whatever.
Yeah. So with my out of body experiences, which you'll read about in the book, I had a dozen, and from the very get go, I said to myself, I just want to know if this is real, and I want the most undeniable experience. And as soon as I've had that, then I'm okay, I'm done. I don't need to pursue it for the rest of my life. I wish I hadn't have said that because I'd sealed my own fate. So after a dozen, I had the most crystal clear and beautiful, brilliant, bright Technicolor experience. And then I could never get back there again. Every time I tried to get back there, there were negative, you could say evil energies, which were preventing me. And it was like a very negative energy crawling all over my body and kind of like with this noise like every time I was getting into that state where I was going to leave the body, these entities came to prevent me from doing it. And I would get into bed each night, and then the beyond me, I wouldn't even be trying. So I used to have to get out of bed and rub my whole body down of this thick negative energy, throw it off, tell them to fuck off, get back in bed, and then, go to sleep. It lasted about 3 weeks, and then it went away, fortunately. And I have tried since then. I never tried for many years, but then I tried again, and I just can't even come close. My body just will not allow me to lie there in such a stagnant sort of death-like, position, like, no scratching, no itching, very little breathing, just no moving. I just not physically couldn't do it anymore. And so I'm like, well, that's very bizarre because I asked and I said that's all I wanted, and I was given that. And then when I wanted more, when I tried to more, then that's when the negative shit came about.
Yes.
But up to that, I only ever used to encounter negative energies and shadow beings in the early days. But then I was getting higher and higher into more beautiful environments, and there was no shadow beings and negative energies there. Just beautiful girls all the time, just incredible girls of my dreams, you know. But yeah, so that door opened and then it was closed. And then I thought, okay, Well, it's like the story of my life because I had an encounter with angels that was open, then it was closed, and it's kind of like Jesus speaks to me, God speaks to me. I have these encounters with hell, and I'm given all these things, so I know what is out there, and then I go on and on and on, maybe higher and higher and higher, and having more insightful and meaningful experiences.
Yes.
So what was the next step for you then? You'd done the tarot, you'd done the out of body, you was in the meditation.
Well, yes, I got to know. So, well, I searched for some kind of method, master, not directly, more a method, and I came to Yogananda, the author of this book you're just reading about the second coming of Christ.
Oh, but Yoga Paramahansa.
Paramahansa.
Yogananda Paramahansa, or Paramahansa Yogananda.
Yes. So this I had this autobiography.
Autobiography of a Yogi.
Yes, for sure you know it.
Yes, I'm going to read that next. I haven't read it as yet, but that is his first book and reputedly the most powerful. So of course I have to read that one next.
It's a classic one.
Yeah, and you see these the second coming of the Christ. It is the best, the most thorough, and most reasonable book on Christ that I've ever read, ever encountered. Because it comes from a deeply spiritual Eastern guru, without the being dragged down by all the dogma which permeates so many of these Western people when they try to interpret. I've read so many books, and it's just like they're robots, just repeating, and I'm like, you're not speaking from your experience. I just don't feel. I'm not convinced. It seems very automated, very controlled. But Paramahansa, I feel that it's a very open and spirit guided, reasonable explanation of all this stuff.
Yes. Well, okay, it's a big topic. So every master has a certain grade, a level. You reach a certain stage on the ladder to God.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like it's a ladder, or there are stairs. It's a stairway. Yes, stairway to heaven. And you have like all these stairs. So many stairs. Yes, it's an endless row. And then you go up stage for stage for stage. And sometimes you go back, and sometimes someone picks you up and brings you a few levels more higher. And then you fall back down and up and down and here and there sideways and this and that. Okay, it's a journey. Okay, and every master has a different level, and a master can only bring you to the level he has reached for himself. Otherwise, no way. So, and basically, there are spiritual planes, and you are familiar with the astral plane and the causal plane. Well, it's most people do not have. Well, they do not know about the causal plane even.
Yeah, explain the causal plane for the viewers.
The causal plane. So, well, it's basically it's easy. It's a word that is just more subtle, much more subtle and lightful. And in Sanmat terminology, it's counted like with each step you gain like 20%. So here, this world is like 0.0000001% light.
Right.
And like 99.99999% darkness, matter. Yes. So when you go to the astral plane, then things lighten up, and it's about 20%.
Right.
So things glow from within. and there is some real light, like divine light, shining out of the things. You
Yeah.
can see it's lightful, colorful. It's more intense, much
Yeah.
more intense than here.
Mhm.
So when you go to the causal plane, then you reach about 40% light,
Right.
but still 60%. It's still matter, darkness. Like yes,
Yeah. So my encounter with the angels appeared to have been in the causal plane,
yes.
because it had a high level of purity to it that the astral realms never had. The astral realms were bright. You see, my experience of the astral started off very dark and very grainy, very sinister, with lots of shadow beings. But then you raise up through the levels if you got the courage to keep going back, and you face off the shadow beings that try to scare you, so you come back. They're the natural preventative measure, as far as I can see. But if you're not afraid of them, then you can raise up higher and higher and higher. But this experience I had with the angels, it was the most beautiful and pristine pureness. I describe this as being heaven, with the brightness and the freeness and the openness. My consciousness was the cosmos. And there was no body at all, no astral body, no physical body, no body at all, nothing. There was just pure awareness, and so that's the only time I think I've visited that level. What were your encounters in that level?
Okay, so I told you that I have some restrictions to
Yeah.
appear since my initiation. I'm sorry.
You can't
It's
speak about things yet. Okay.
it's normal, it's regular, but I can still talk about the spiritual planes.
Hmm.
And I can say that there's a very important point in this. The causal plane is not the end. It's not the end.
No.
There are spiritual planes beyond the causal plane and beyond the cosmic consciousness. So if you reach the cosmic consciousness, you have, in terms of the mind, you have reached the highest level in a certain way, yes, but you can go beyond that. There are spiritual planes beyond where you can get like from 40% light to 60 to 80%, and then you can get to 100, like 99.99% light. It's like the opposite. It's like vice versa. And only if you reach that level, you are really free, completely free, eternally free. And as long as you are not in that plane, as long as you have not reached the spiritual plane where is really like 99.999% light, before you have not reached this plane, you are not free. You will fall sooner or later. And there is still some type of negativity, although these spiritual planes are they're unimaginable. Their beauty and wideness is completely beyond anything we could ever imagine. And the highest samadhi states, they take place in these planes, just, but not the highest, not like 99.9, yes, but one step below. This is where the highest samadhi
So the
is.
highest would be, would it be nirvana or samadhi?
I forgot the terms. There are like 4 or 5 types, I guess, of
Yeah,
samadhi.
because lots of people they can have like a samadhi experience whereby they enter into a certain realm of bliss, but I think the nirvana is only accessible for spirits when we die, when the body dies. But that probably varies in varying sects of Buddhist philosophy. But that's from what I can gather from my study, and so I've been to what would be considered to these samadhi states of pure oneness, which are wonderful. And I suppose that they feel like what could be described as the causal plane. I saw my deceased father on one occasion in the highest and glowing of Technicolor, like astral body, and he was walking, and the whole aura of him was like Jesus. And it was Jesus's aura in my father, and my father was about 30 years old or 33, same age as Jesus. But my father, when he died, was about 67 or something like this, and he was pretty ill. And so I saw him in this immaculate realm, and the message was that he's with Jesus. He and Jesus have become one, like Jesus says. And he wasn't religious at all. But the message was, you don't have to worry about me. I'm with the Father. I'm the Father one. So, and again, in my book, I'm speaking about this in the finest of details. So that was another incredible out of this world experience that I had, which was like bizarre because, like I say, my father was absolutely in his prime, similar age to Jesus, disposition to Jesus, small beard and long black curly hair. My dad used to have in his 70s, denim shirt, walking barefoot with his palms facing forward, like pictures we'll see on Jesus, completely open, and to receive cosmic spirit. So
That's impressive, and it's rare. It's rare. I mean, if he didn't do anything special,
no, I did nothing. This happened about
did he
7 days after he died.
What was he? Was he like helping people in some way?
No. He was embittered. He was reclusive. He was an alcoholic, and he'd never been evangelical or charitable in his life. He loved his family, and he fended and supplied his family very, very well. But then in the latter days of divorce and embitterment, then he just went into alcoholism and different sorts of medications, and made him very ill. So it's super bizarre why I was the only one out of 11 brothers and sisters. There's 12 of us that had any experience like that, and that was even before I was actually on the path. I believe. Probably it wasn't. No, because he's probably only been dead about 10 years now. So, but yeah, I mean, these things that I've experienced, they are super more real than real. And they're super spiritual, they're super connected, and I don't know, they just give rise to a lot of questions.
Well, it's so from my point of view, it's I would not believe, no matter how real it looked like, I would be careful. So I wouldn't reject, I wouldn't think that's an illusion, but I also wouldn't necessarily believe that this was really my father, because the probability is very low. That there must have been a karmic background, some really deep background, if this would happen, because it's well, so normally most people do not reach states higher than the astral plane. Maybe they get into the causal plane sometime, yes, sooner or later, sometime, but just for a short time. Most people are in the astral plane, no matter, even if they were the best Christians and like praying all over their life and whatever. So
well, I was reading one excerpt in the Second Coming of the Christ this afternoon, and there was an excerpt where Yogananda speaking about Christ on the cross, speaking to the people or the two persons on his left and on his right. And one of them says to the Christ, "You're the Christ. Why can't you, get us out of this mess?" Something like that. And Jesus' words, something to the effect that it's the will of the Father. And then this criminal said to Jesus, "But you have done nothing wrong. Why are you being crucified? We deserve to be crucified because we're heinous criminals." And then just before Jesus passed, it is said that he said, "Don't worry, because you'll be coming with me."
Yes, of course.
Have you heard about that? Are you familiar with that bit?
It's a very well-known story.
Right. Yes.
Every Christian
How do
knows
we
this.
account for that then? How do we account for somebody who didn't pray and believe and follow Jesus? He was a criminal, so he's doing all the wrong things, and yet he already, just had his ticket into heaven just like that.
It's the grace of the Master. The Master can do this. The true Master, like the God-like Master.
But what I'm saying is, if it was good enough for some common criminal, then why couldn't my Father have been lifted there as well?
Well, it's possible, but it's not normal. It's not regular.
And maybe it wasn't my Father, because I never had the impression it was my Father. I had the impression it was Jesus coming to me, giving me the message of I and the Father are one. Basically saying that when we die, we go back to source, and the source is Jesus.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, right, yes. I get that. That makes sense.
For example, there's a thing. So if God wants to give you a message in a dream, then he might show up yourself as your father, as your physical father.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, but it's him, and he hopes that you will understand that this means that it is him. It's
God or Jesus.
Yes, that it's God or Jesus. I mean, it depends on your belief, of course.
Yeah.
Basically,
I had no belief. I had no leaning at all.
He tries to communicate with people, and he tries, and then he uses symbolic language, of course, the dreams.
Yeah.
This is a rule. The spirits are not allowed to show you directly what it's about. They have to use symbolic language.
Yeah.
This is a limitation. It's not that they wouldn't like to do it, or that they couldn't do it. They could do it, but they are not allowed to.
Right, but also what they do is, it appears, because this happened with the visitation of the two angels, they never gave me a message outright. They never gave me a telepathic message at that time. I had to decipher what that message was through natural courses, reading Carl Jung with archetypes and the collective unconscious. And so when I was reading those, a couple of weeks later, all of a sudden the light came on, and I knew exactly what the message was from these two angels. And again, that was super, super clear, pristine, beautiful, perfect. And the message was that I was deeply out of balance, because the male angel had wings and the female angel never had any wings. So then I concluded, well, the female could no longer take flight. The female in me, the anima within me, the female version of a man in me had been massively suppressed. So the message was, you've got to grow back her wings so she can take flight, so you can have balance. It's a wonderful, beautiful illustration, and that was given to me by some higher force, supplying me with exactly the right literature that I could comprehend from a man I deeply respected, Carl Jung. And so all things worked out so perfect and powerfully. It's absolutely, as far as I'm concerned, irrefutable. That's what it was. And I knew then that I was on my journey to become balanced, because I was all ego. I had no femininity, no softness.
I understand.
Mm.
Well, that's wonderful. Congratulations.
Well, I mean, yeah, congratulations. I mean, of course, I've changed a great deal and I'm vastly more stable, but still got all these questions like, well, why me? What's it all about? What am I supposed to do? And look, Edward, you know from watching a few of my videos, I've got a bit of a vicious tongue on me, and I'm not the all loving and accepting person that Christ would want us to be. So if Christ has given me all these experiences, then why can't he soften my heart? Because it seems that, in 14 years, that facet of my ego hasn't been abated in the slightest. And I'm still spitting out as much venom now, probably even more, because I detest deception. I detest weakness. I detest ignorance. So why am I detesting and contesting and fighting against all this stuff? You see, I seem to be doing a job for somebody, but I'm not doing it in the normal way. I'm not all peace and love and light. I'm calling people on their bullshit, and I'm affecting people. It's another way. The heart is in the right place to raise people up, to shock them out of their bullshit. Maybe this is the new era. There's another method being deployed now. What do you think about that?
Yes, of course. It's it's war. We have a spiritual war going on, and the war is a war, and in the war you fight, and fighting is like aggressive or powerful at least, and in certain situations you need aggression to fight. And of course God can be angry. It's a righteous kind of anger that is directed against evil.
Mm-hmm.
It's not directed against personalities. It's or like entities.
Yeah, nothing I do has a personal edge to it.
It's evil within them.
Yeah,
They
to banish the evil within them, to banish,
yeah,
and I consider ignorance to be evil, because it's ignorance that's keeping people out of the kingdom of God. It's their ignorance and stupidity and their slavery to dogmatic propaganda. And whatever I'm doing, I'm trying to shock them into some sort of recognition of that.
we need knowledge to overcome deception, because the deception is so horrible. So there's such a chaos outside. It's such a immense variety of different kinds of belief systems, and in so many details. There's so, and it's, you can't, it's hard, it's impossible to have an overview. So it's needed. We need knowledge. We need mysticism. We need to open this spiritual eye. We
Yeah.
need,
And
because
lots of Christians have leveled at me that, oh, you can't be enlightened, you can't be awoken, you all this meditation you've done, it hasn't done anything. And I always say to them, I say, look, this thing we're in isn't all love and light. And all we've got to do is to look at the Bible in its collective, and you see that Jehovah was a very aggressive, dominating, little understanding, tyrant in lots of places. Superseded them by the Son, who was the polar opposite. So between the two, you've got the yin and the yang, haven't you? You've got the soft love and the tough love. When we look at how that Bible made manifest, with the very harsh father and then the very forgiving son, which more people have found much more easy to be in line with. And then, of course, through Paulinian philosophy, I suppose you could say, he's made it even easier for everybody to enter into the kingdom of God, because all you got to do is believe. And I'm like, wow. I mean, God laid down so many restrictions that you had to comply with, all these commandments and everything. And now it appears that Jesus wiped all them away and says, all you got to do is believe in me. And it doesn't matter what you've done or what you do, as long as you believe in me. Where do you stand on that philosophy?
Well, these are, from my point of view, these are misunderstandings. It's like, I use this, well, everyone has a part of the truth, but just a part. And additionally, mixed up is like nonsense. It's like mixed up. It's everything mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a very important point. That means that we will never deserve heaven. We will never deserve salvation. We cannot earn salvation. It's completely impossible. You can work and meditate and suffer hundreds of lives, and you will never, ever get a compensation that will give you salvation for all these sufferings, all these meditations and hard work. It's completely impossible, because the true salvation is so far beyond anything we know or we could comprehend in any way. We're talking about worlds like, boom. I mean, you see in the heaven, you see the stars in heaven, and you can't count them. You cannot count them. There's so many stars. Yes, your mind is blown up just by this physical cosmos that we perceive. But we're talking about the astral plane, causal plane, and beyond.
It's very, very deep, but you know, that's my sort of can I say, my overview of studying those books for as long as I have. And it seems to be the sort of general consensus of the message, because Jesus is always saying, it is written that this and that, but I say this. So what he was doing, he was referring to the Old Testament, to what the Father has said, and then overwriting it. And then it is written that there are 10 commandments, but I say this, and he only gives 2.
Yes.
You know, so what do we make of all that?
The problem is that this is a contradiction in itself, because there are Christians that they give you that Bible quote where Jesus has said, I have not come to change the law, but to fulfill it. It's in the Bible. It's a special quote. This is what they repeat all the time. They say, here, look at this sentence. Here, he said clearly, I have not come to change the law, but to obey, to fulfill the law. And until this, I mean, everything has to be fulfilled. Point. And they are right, it's in the Bible. But then you say, okay, wait. He says there are 2 laws, love your God and love your neighbor, and everything is included in these 2 laws. And it's also in the Bible, and it's also right. So it's your decision. What do you want to believe? What do you want to focus on? Focus on the one thing or the other thing. I mean, the Bible is not the right book to have a very clear opinion or belief. You can decide whatever you want. Well, you can decide to believe in this.
But isn't that where all the issues come from? Because it is so ambiguous that we're all left to make our own minds up of what this stuff's about. Now, Jesus said, "I've not come to bring peace. I've come with a sword to divide." And that fits very well with Revelation. The wheat from the chaff and all the rest of it. And there's lots of other instances in the Old and New Testament which say very similar stuff. And Jesus says, don't cast pearls to swine and let the dead bury the dead. Because the spiritually dead are of no concern to us. And so I wonder, well, how many are spiritually dead? It seems to me, looking at the world, that there's 95% plus spiritually dead people on this planet, because even the ones that think they are Christian or Muslim or whatever, they act so atrociously that they are so far out of being in allegiance with the kingdom of God, they are delusional. And so is there only literally 144,000 people which are suitable for being raised up? Is this world like what Dolores Cannon says? There's only a few people, the movie stars, and everybody else is our extras. What can we say about this? You see, look, elitism is very often leveled at me for how I'm thinking, but it's a case of, well, you give me another reason not to, because all I can see around me, very, very few people are awoken. I happen to be awoken, no idea why. I can't lay claim to why I should be. It just so happens. But there was an enormous amount of sleeping people out there. And when I listen to what Jesus says, I'm very in line with what he said and the encounters that he had. And it's kind of like, well, the awoken ones, the enlightened ones, seem to be a replication of that Christos. We seem to be on the same path. I'm spreading the word, trying to raise people up, just the same as Jesus was 2,000 years ago. Many people have done it before me, and many people are doing it now. We're doing a similar sort of thing by giving people the opportunity to wake up. But then this whole waking up process isn't a choice. It's something that either happens or it doesn't.
I think that this is related to our soul. And our soul is something that evolved over like hundreds, thousands of years or even longer. If you consider reincarnation to be real, which I do, at least for some people, especially Christians, this is, well, it's not exclusive for Christians, of course, not at all. Yes, this is not what I want to say.
Well, at the end of the day, Christendom took on board some sort of notion of reincarnation from other faiths, of course. So it wasn't originating from Christendom. It was originated out of Eastern philosophy, thousands of years before.
It's even Jewish. The Jews believe in reincarnation. It's a part of the Kabbalah.
Yeah.
Yes, it's called. There's a book. It's called Gilgul, something like Gilgul something. Well, I know it. I researched this just yesterday, I guess.
Right.
And it's clearly stated, and they have a very clear teaching. It's a clear doctrine, and the Jewish people, they respect the Kabbalah. Not like the Christians. The Christians disrespect mysticism.
Yes.
But the Jewish believers respect the Kabbalah.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they never read that stuff, they never got into it. But if you say, yes, reincarnation, Gilgul stuff, Kabbalah, they say, oh, yes, it's true, of course. We suppose this to be true. We don't know anything about it, but yes, it's the Kabbalah, and we respect the Kabbalah, so it must be true. So Jewish people believe in reincarnation.
Yeah. So the whole thing about Kabbalah, it's a sect of Judaism pertaining to the Torah, and it's a mystical investigation into those first 5 books. And so they are looking at all what is said in those books through the eyes of deeply spiritual and open-minded mystics. And of course, then that's when all different sorts of spirits come into the equation, and reincarnations, and many other things. And of course, the Kabbalists are deeply seated in meditation, and people don't know that. Whereas Christians, they don't meditate a day in their lives mostly, but the real religious people pertaining to that Abrahamic faith know absolutely that you ain't getting union with God unless you meditate, because it's via your meditation that takes you into that yoga, the union with God.
Well, this is an interesting topic, because if you take a look at the Christians, then you see, when you listen to them, they talk about their dreams. They have prophetic dreams, and they have spirit. They experience spirituality, but they do not experience it intentionally, like sitting down and focusing and stuff, but they get it in their dreams.
What do you mean they get it? You mean the old prophets got it in their dreams?
Oh, I'm talking about regular Christian people.
Right.
Like you, okay, like you and me, like some people, some Christians, especially evangelicals, believing in the second coming of Christ.
Right.
I've wrote a book about it, The Final Revelation, and it contains 185 prophetic dreams from evangelical Christians in America.
So I'm assuming you must have read William James's Varieties of Religious Experience then.
No, what is called William?
William James, he's the American philosopher. He wrote a book in the late 1800s or early 1900s called Varieties of Religious Experience. Let me just get that book because it's very, very powerful.
Okay. Published in 1902.
So here's the book. This is the very, very well-renowned book and well-quoted with anybody who is delving into mystical experiences. And if I just look to see what date of print this was, 1902. 1902.
I'm just reading on AI.
Right.
AI.
So in here, there is a collection of these religious experiences, and they were collated by somebody else, very well-respected scholar, before William James's time. And in one of these religious experiences is almost exactly the same as my encounter with Jesus.
Well, the thing is that when you have experiences, then you can see the elements. You are able to recognize the things. You see a dream, and then you recognize the parts in it. So you see it. It's obvious. If you have the knowledge through your experiences, you can discern. You can say, okay, this is just some kind of dream. This is more related to his personal ideas. Yes, it's creative, or it's a personal thing. But in certain cases, you recognize, wow, this is so true, and this is so real, and this is really from above, and there are real spirits, angelic spirits, or whatever, they are involved, and they are doing this. You see it. You have to, but you need the knowledge.
Are you familiar with Sigmund Freud's interpretation of dreams and Carl Jung's book on dreams?
I know something about it.
Right.
Well, they did not know or assume that all these archetypes and subconscious characteristics, personality stuff, that they are related to conscious entities
Oh
within.
no, Carl Jung. Carl Jung absolutely was. Yeah,
Yes,
there was no doubt that he considered them all to be entities, egregores, and all different sorts of spirits like that.
really,
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I assumed he did not. He was not like.
No, I mean Carl Jung's very, very deep, very mystical. Of course, he coined this terminology, the collective unconscious, the archetypes, and the anima and the animus, the masculine and the feminine, all different sorts of spirits. He's going on about, for many, many years. And so you wrote a book about religious experience, but it's kind of weird because the building blocks for these sort of things are in these 3 books. They really are probably the most powerfulest books on the planet. If anybody ever says about mystical dreams, well, you must have read Freud and Jung on their interpretation, because Freud's interpretation of dreams, 1905, was considered by himself to be his greatest work. And one day there will be a brass plaque outside where he was actually living at the time, stating this is where the conception of this book derived from. But that's how high regard he held it. But that never happened. And then now Jung's interpretation of dreams and mysticism, everything, has superseded Freud's even. But this varieties of religious experiences, things go back to the 1800s by, prominent and respected pastors and all those sort of things, collated by a very respected person. And so I would think that would be a good read for you, to see
Yes,
where they're coming from on that.
I should know that.
Yeah, but you see, my experience is very much in line with what's in there. And so it's very much a format that's respected and accepted by people. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a very good thing, because at least what I experienced has been something which is kind of like been the bedrock of many, many people's experiences. So it has more of a substance to it, because
Okay.
they pertain to a physiological thing, a biological thing. Your whole body is trembling and vibrating, and it's like the onset of an astral projection. It's like 1,000 orgasms. This electricity is throbbing up and down your body, and you're paralyzed and you can't move, and you're having a religious experience with the tears streaming down your face. And that's when I had the voice, who I assumed was Jesus. Tell me, if you want to know what unconditional love is, you have to come through me. And kind of like, it's like, wow, well, he showed me what that was. And I'm like, well, I don't think I could ever have that replicated by anybody else or any other situation on earth. So that is a love pertaining to you only. Because when Jehovah showed me what love was for 3.5 hours, he showed me that everything is actually love, and it was a beautiful thing. But there was there was the Jehovahness to it. It was a conditional love. There was most certainly conditions to his love. Whereas there's no conditions to Jesus. So in my book, I write about the very, very distinct varieties of love. And I ask myself, well, why are they different? They're different simply because the Old Testament is very oriented with conditional love. The whole theme of that. And the New Testament is very unconditional love. And so the experiences I had of the Father and of the Son were exact replications of the messages from these 2 books.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm looking forward to read your book.
I'm looking forward to you reading it and then seeing what you make of it. You see, the difficulty is with these experiences, unless you've had them, then they don't mean anything because you cannot be touched by them. And I try to explain with people because it's very unsatisfying because so far I've sold 52 of these books to my viewers, and it seems like most of them are very inhibited and worried about coming to talk to me about it because it appears that they are not receiving the message that I am conveying. And of course they're not. And what I would say is like, look, I've climbed a mountain. I know exactly what it feels like to climb a 20,000 feet mountain with all the pain and suffering that you go through. I could write a book about climbing a mountain having not climbed one. It wouldn't have the essence to it. And if anybody had climbed a mountain, they wouldn't find their essence in my book. But if I wrote about my experience climbing that mountain and speaking about it with people who have climbed the mountain, I would touch them to the core. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying very boldly that my book is the world's first spiritual Bible. Because if people have had this spiritual awakening, if they really have had spiritual enlightenment, then they will be gripped by every single page of my book. Because it's a real true journey.
Okay, I cannot say anything about your book. I just read a few pages.
Yeah.
But basically, it's an interesting point. So my books are authentic. Most of it is authentic, like I'm standing with it. Yes. Okay. Of course, always I have to say I'm not allowed to tell my experiences, blah blah blah. Okay, but if you read it, then you recognize, of course. I mean, you have to use your brain, and then you will see that a person without experiences would never have been able to write such things.
Right.
But the problem is, yes.
So you've wrote two books. One of them is the one that you've got advertised on Amazon, and then you got the other one on Lulu, yeah?
No, actually, there are like 5. So there are four bigger books and 2 small books.
Right. So that's 6 then.
Yes. So I can tell you it's about 300,000 words in total. Everything 300,000.
Right.
And they're just split it on these 5 publications, but I made lots of editions, translations, combined volumes, complete volumes in 10 languages here and there and that. So there are so many publications. I don't know.
So for the benefit of the viewer, as a promotion for yourself, I'll put the links down in the description to your books and where they can be purchased. Tell us in brief then, or in some depth, what these books are about.
They are a foundation for a new spiritual movement.
Right.
That includes the best parts or the true parts that are supposed to be true, combined from all religions, from all spiritual paths, combined.
Right.
So you will find Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, and anything. You will find it all. And
that's really bizarre because my book is exactly the same. I've included the Tao in there. I've included Buddhism. I've included lots of other varying religious and spiritual philosophies, which all come together in this new age. So we're very much in line with each other. We're picking eclectically from all the bits that we can deem to be concrete that have meant something to us. We've got personal experience. We're bringing them together, and so that really is kind of remarkable. So yeah, please go on.
Yes, maybe we can work together. We can work something out, something new, like combining your stuff, my stuff.
We'll get accused of starting a cult, you know.
What, a cult?
We'll get accused of starting a cult.
Yes, yes, okay. It shouldn't be a cult. Not at all, of course. I mean, it's a so for me, it's a practical thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a theory part, yes, but this is not so important. Well, it's so wide. It's so wide. It's such a big topic. For me, so it's all about practice.
Right. And,
Yeah.
and I'm assuming your practice stems from meditation.
Yes, practicing is like breathing.
Mm-hmm.
I found a way to practice like 24 hours, more or less. Okay, when I'm deeply sleeping and unconscious, I can't, of course.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah.
I still pray to God that He will take away this necessities to sleep, because I hate sleep.
Right.
Because it's like being dead, essentially. We need it. Yes, we need it.
Yeah.
But it's, well, I believe in it. I believe that it's possible to overcome sleep.
So, what's Yogananda's variety of yoga? That's very much breathing oriented, isn't it?
It's an important part of Kriya Yoga.
Yeah, Kriya Yoga.
Yes, this is what this yoga type is called, but it's limited. You won't succeed into that part that is eternal. You are still within these regions that will force you to fall down again.
Right.
Maybe you will like be for ages and ages and ages in the brightest kinds of heavens and whatever it might be, but it's not eternal. This is, okay, it's the atmic plane. They are talking about the atmic plane.
Atmic.
Yes. Atma is like the spirit, and it's considered to be the soul.
Yeah.
The true soul.
Right.
That is like shining, like
Brahman.
You mean Par-Brahm. Para means beyond.
Brahman, doesn't Brahman mean the spirit, the ether, the whole thing?
It's another, I know it as word for the causal plane, Brahmant.
Right.
Yes, but then beyond is Par-Brahmant.
Right. Yeah.
And then there is another plane that is called Banvar Gupta.
Yeah, you see, this is the thing when we get involved in different varieties of spirituality. They've all got the terminology for different realms.
Yes, but actually, it's they mean the same. But it's a secret, because if you go to any kind of Hinduistic, Buddhistic master, they will not tell you that there are spiritual planes beyond the atmic plane. They will tell you that atmic is the highest pure spirit.
Right.
They will tell you this is the pure soul. If you are in this atmic body, which is very, very subtle, very lightful, like 12 suns. This is it compared with the light of 12 suns.
Right.
Especially, yes. Then you're a Paramhansa. Paramhansa, Yogananda.
Yeah.
This title means Hansa is a swan.
Right.
A swan, and para means beyond. Yes, this is for the atmic plane. It means that his soul has reached that atmic level. Yes, but there are even higher planes that are really eternal.
Yogananda, that means union with spirit, doesn't it? Yoga's union with everything, with God.
Wait, Ananda. This is an ending that is very common for like Sananda.
I read the meaning of it only yesterday, I think it was, because he was saying what his name meant, and I recognised the yoga bit, because that's what yoga means, to be in union. So when we practice yoga, we were endeavouring via our breathing to be in union with spirit, with God.
Ananda is a Sanskrit term commonly used in Hinduism and Buddhism. It refers to a state of bliss or profound happiness.
Yes, yes.
It is often translated as joy, bliss, or delight.
So blissful connection, blissful union, then Yogananda. Blissful
Well,
union.
yoga is like the word for any kind of spiritual practice, I guess.
Well, it means
Yoga,
union.
I'm just looking it up. Yoga is a holistic discipline. I don't know. So
Yeah,
you have
the true terminology of yoga is union. You see, if you look on there and you look on Google, then they're going to go, it's a form of exercise. It's not actually a form of exercise, it's a form of communion.
okay.
And we do
Well,
that via our breathing. You know that via meditation, via our deep rhythmic breathing and out the stilling of our mind. That's how we get union with cosmic consciousness. But okay, that's the minutiae of things. So your book then, starting out on your spiritual experiences, all the things that you found and you discovered, and you put it together into what, some sort of school?
well, you might consider this to be a school. I don't know. It's a foundation for a movement.
Right.
It should be a movement. I want to move people.
Yeah.
To use the tools
Mm-hmm.
that I discovered or that were given to me. So you have like light and sound meditation. Yes. Then you have like this is well, you can call it like call God's names. There's a word like Simran. This is basically Sandmat. Do you know Sandmat?
No.
Did you ever hear of it?
No.
Okay, this is the tip. So what I teach or say this essentially it's Sandmat, but it's like Sandmat 2.0. It's a new Sandmat. It's improved, much more improved. Basically, in the core, it's still Sandmat, but it's like Sandmat with the mind.
Okay.
Yes.
What is Sandmat? What is Sandmat?
Sandmat, it's well translated something like the holy path.
Right.
And it works with the light, so-called light and sound meditation.
Right, light and sound. Now, there's something called a Rockseever lamps. Are you familiar with Rockseever lamps? They work with light and sound in meditation.
I never heard of it. Rocks, what rocks?
Roxiva, Rockseever. And there are lamps where you put a headset on and you have a lamp over your face, and it gives you some sort of a combined experience. Now, I think it's probably related to what's called the God helmet. I write about this in my book. The God helmet, somebody discovered that if you stimulate the electromagnetism in the brain, certain vibrations, you can induce some sort of awareness of somebody else, not necessarily God. Lots of people have an awareness that there's somebody in the room, there's somebody present, like in an astral. As soon as you go into the astral, you are aware of entities there. So this God helmet is giving similar experiences. Then there's this other sort of thing whereby you face a light. You don't open your eyes, but the light is flashing at different rhythms and things like that, and that can give you an outer body experience also. So there's lots of these things now that are getting tuned in to enabling us to get into the vibration.
Yes. Well, this is something different,
right,
from what I recommend, what I teach. It's a different thing. So I'm talking about the divine sound, and there is an equivalent in Hinduism, and it's called Nada Yoga,
right.
NADA Yoga, and they listen to sounds in the spirit.
In the spirit.
Yes, in the spirit, but this is just what it's supposed to be, but it's not only in the spirit, but it's subtle. It's well, you can hear the divine sound as well in the physical plane as in the astral, in the causal, and any other plane, because God, the teaching is like God is sound, and the true word of God is the sounding word. It's like sound. His creation comes out of sound,
Yes.
like music, even.
Yeah.
And
Well, everything derives out of vibration, doesn't it? Which ultimately is sound.
of course,
The
sound
word.
is some kind of frequency.
Yeah.
And the thing is that sound can transmit energy. And if you want to rise, if you want to evolve as a soul and reach salvation, you need energy. Energy, it's all about energy.
Yeah.
You need to harvest divine energy. This is what it's about. It's very easy to understand. And then if you connect, if you listen to the sound current, it's called the sound current also, then energy is transmitted to you. Yes, and your higher self, like whatever you might call it, your divine power in yourself, it collects this energy and uses this energy for you to rise and shine, to be purified, to be evolved, to be developed, and to reach salvation. It uses this energy.
Would you call that energy chi?
No, it's not the chi. The chi is, well, it can be transformed into chi. It's like it's the universal energy, and it can be transformed into any kind of energy.
Right.
Yes, any kind. You can. Yes.
So we all bask in this universal energy, then, don't we? So how do we? It's like a fish in water. Say to a fish, "How's the water?" He's going to say, "What water?"
Well, yes, of course. Anything is energy.
Yes. So how would we know this? How would I know it? How would I get in touch with what you're speaking about? Is it something kind of practical, or is it always going to be in levels of mysticism?
It's a practical thing, and it's very easy in the first place.
Right.
You just plug your right ear. It has to be the right ear. You just plug it, and then you get calm and listen. You try to hear something. Very easy.
So you put an ear plug in, so you
Yeah,
can't hear anything outside. You
you have
listen to the
yeah.
noise inside your head.
Yes. You just plug your ear.
A
You
bit of
can
a
use.
ringing, a bit of a.
Yes. This is probably the sound current. If you probably have it.
The static energy of the cosmos.
It is transmitted to you through the sound. And if you listen to the sound, you harvest this energy through this sound. It's like a container. It's like a wire, a cable.
Right.
And that, well, it's true. It's really true. But most people don't know it. Many people have tinnitus.
Yeah.
And they're complaining, I have tinnitus. I heard these sounds, and it's like a train, and it's like a trembling, and this and that. But this is, in most cases, not in every case, of course, I guess, but in most cases, it is the sound where that transmits energy. And if you listen to the sound, you will receive sound. You will receive large amounts of energy. We're talking about huge amounts of energy, huge amounts of energy.
Right.
Yes, it's tremendous. And if you have the sound very clearly, if you listen to it very clearly, then it will even pull you out of your body. Yes, and if you go into astral plane, the sound will be much louder, more intense, more powerful, pull you more and more and more. Well, it's like, yeah, you connect with a divine source of power that way. And this is the true rapture. This is the true salvation path. It's the only way to get away from all that stuff is through the sound current. You need this, and you will see this in the Christian prophetic dreams. They are describing the sound current. They hear the sound of a train,
Yeah.
and it's God himself manifesting through the sound. And this sound is lifting them up, pulling them out of their body up straight into heaven, for example. This is one dream, one specific dream.
Yeah. My first out of body experience, and the out of body experience, everyone will always speak about an accompaniment of sound, and it can be like jet engines, it can be like huge machinery. In my first projection, it was like a pop, 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 a very quick succession of these pops, and the whole vibration waves of energy flowing up and down the body with a buzzing, and then an astral entity put her hands underneath my arms from behind when I was lying in bed and pulled my astral body out and swirled it around the bedroom several times. So you see, these noises that people speak about in relation to God, well, if we can get them in the astral and we don't go into the God realm, what are we saying that is?
It's the same. It's the divine sound current, but just on a lower level.
Right. Okay. So
It's basically even God himself, and this can be experienced in the even higher planes. Well, you get one with the sound. At a certain level, you and the sound just merge.
yeah.
One, and then you will like be skyrocketing, and this is the true rapture.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So in your astral excursions, what sort of noises did you encounter when you was leaving the body?
I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Ah.
But I can tell you that you can tell from the type of the sound. You can say from what plane this is. So all kinds of machines, like what you heard, it's
Yeah.
from the causal plane.
Causal plane.
Yes, it's not the astral plane.
Right.
The classic, the highest sound in the astral plane are the bells.
Right.
Ding dong, like church bells.
Uh-huh.
This is the top. So if you hear inside the bells, then you know this is from the astral plane.
Right.
And when you listen to the bell sound, it will pull you straight up into the astral plane. To the
These
source.
bells, are they like church bells?
Mhm.
Are these bells, do you hear like church bells?
Yes. They sound like church bells.
So
Like
can we assume then that the reason why they use church bells in churches is because this is the portal to leaving your body?
probably the root is like people have heard them. Yes.
Yes. So here's something now we're getting into, because I've never heard that before, and it's very interesting because we're getting involved in occultism. You see, it's hidden information, and all these bells in all these churches all over the world, they always have to originate for some reason. Now, most people could say, "Oh yeah, well, it just lets you know when you go to service, or it's Sunday, ding dong, ding dong." But all over Britain, of course, we've got these, and I live next door to a church, and I hear the bells, every 15 minutes because it goes off on 1:15, 1:30, 1:45, and the hour. And so, if some people originally heard these bells and then they wanted to replicate that and have it as a characteristic for the communion with God in the church, it all starts to fit in place, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Mm.
Absolutely. And you even, so I can tell you more. So the machine-like sounds, as I told you, for example, the train sound. Train is typically from the causal plane.
Yeah.
And it's a very powerful sound. Okay, then you go even farther. Then, for example, you have a flute. In Parbrahmand is a very fine, intense flute sound, for example. That is very essential and important in that plane. Organ church organ,
Mm-hmm.
atomic plane.
Right.
And the most interesting thing probably is like harps. Harps can be heard in the eternal heaven from God.
Right.
And if you read the Revelation of John in the Bible, then it says the 144,000 they play the song of the harps, and they only can. Nobody else knows this song of the harps. And literally, the harps can be heard everywhere in this spiritual eternal kingdom of heaven, like spiritual plane that is even beyond the atomic plane, for example. And then you have what is it called, the Scottish people have this
Bagpipes.
bagpipes, yes. The bagpipes also are supposed to be heard there. Then this oboe, do you know what it is?
Oboe.
Oboe.
Boom, boom, boom.
It's very fine, a very fine sound.
Right, I
Okay,
don't know.
doesn't matter. I don't know the English word. So basically this, and oh yes, there's an instrument that is called shinai.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever hear it?
No.
Shinai. It's like a trumpet.
Yeah.
And Indian people, so the classical picture is like an Indian playing on a small trumpet, and there is a snake,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like hypnotizing the snake with this trumpet sound.
Right.
This is the shinai.
Aha. Okay.
Yeah, and the sound of the shinai is also can be heard in this plane.
Right.
This internal
Flute. A flute.
A flute is in I guess it can be even heard in the atomic plane.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you say that you can't say certain things, maybe we'll talk about the reasons why off camera. But do you not find that kind of like stifling and suppressive? Because I think the whole thing about knowledge is to be spoken, and that's what you're writing about. So why is it that you are so perturbed or inhibited or controlled from saying certain secrets or something? You know, are we supposed to have secrets these days, or are things just supposed to be open now?
Yes, this is exactly the point. It is suppression. The reason is suppression. It is not allowed means that the negative power ruling this world does not want us, those people that know these secrets, to talk about it openly. Because if the masses get to know these things and start meditating, we will conquer the earth.
Yeah.
We will get rid. We will overcome even the gods.
Yeah.
We will rise up and get even more stronger and powerful than the gods.
Mm-hmm.
And the ruler of this world will lose his control. And this is, I mean, the most powerful tool in existence is the sound current. It's the only tool that can give you salvation in a lifetime. Yes, even in like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, if you meditate like 3, 5, 8, 10, 15 hours daily, depending, you can reach the highest salvation like this. And this, no path offers that. No other tool offers that. It's the most powerful tool in existence. And this is why it's the biggest secret. Oh, and so I was growing up in this society, like all people I knew, all my friends, they were all just practicing light and sound. We had the same master, and we were all doing this all the time. Yes, I was in a retreat, and like sitting 16 hours daily and through the night, and we all did this. And the people had any kind of experience, well, like mind-blowing, but you never hear of it because it's like secrecy. Okay, and if you do, then you will be punished spiritually from evil spirits. They will come and block your energy channel stuff. They simply do not allow this. This is the condition. So, and you can say, okay, I don't believe this. And some people, they don't adhere to it. They just talk openly, but they have no progress.
Right.
They don't progress on the path. It's like stuck, stop. So you can talk about it, but then you will get stuck. And this is specific to this path and very special.
So what part of it in particular is it that you can't speak about? The sound?
All kinds of meditation experiences
Right.
I'm not allowed to talk about.
Right.
I'm not allowed to tell you, I had this experience, I experienced this and that, I heard this and that sound, I saw this, that light spirit, blah, blah, blah.
Interesting, because, I've been saying all these things for all these years. I've been,
Yes,
and
be
I've wrote
happy.
in a book and everything like that. And, well, who's to know whether I've been prohibited from continuing, but the experiences that I've had vastly exceed anybody I've ever spoken to, and I'm not even an adherent. I'm not even seeking this stuff particularly. I started meditating 14 years ago. I took to it in an instant. I love it. Meditate from in all these years, anything from like 1 hour to 5 hours a day, never missed a day, and reading prolifically, and of course copious amounts of entheogens, all different sorts of portals into different states of consciousness, and I'm the biggest blabbermouth on the planet. And so I don't know what that means really, and it's my nature to talk. I'm an open person. I'm not a secretive person, and I wouldn't want to ever know any knowledge that I couldn't speak about, because I'm not sure I could keep it in. Why would you want to keep it in? Why would you want to keep all these secrets in? Because the whole thing about even Buddhist ideology is that everybody needs to be awoken before we can all go back to source. Otherwise, we've all got to stay here. So, I mean, this secrecy and only one person in a million knows it, I don't get what that's about, really.
Well, it's a spiritual warfare. This is the problem. This is what people are talking about. It's the war. It's the conflict.
Yeah.
Between good and evil. God wants us to know these things. But evil says, oh, no, wait. I don't allow this. This realm is ruled not by God. God is not the ruler of this world. Yeah, he is in power, but he gave us freedom. Yes, it's about freedom. If he would control everything and anything, where would be our freedom?
Yeah.
There would be no freedom. And this is a very sensitive and important point, because in the Hinduistic religious belief systems, for example, they say that everything is under control. God is under control. But in the opposite belief system, which should be the Christian belief system also, the Father prayer, like, I don't know the English text. Our Father in heaven.
In heaven, hallowed be thy name, and blah, blah, blah. Our kingdom come, yeah. Death will be
Blah, blah,
done.
blah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And this prayer says, thy kingdom come. That means this is not his kingdom.
Yeah.
We want this to be your kingdom, because it is not.
So here's the thing then. I mean, we are 8 minutes short of 2 hours, and I think if we wrap this first conversation up in 8 minutes, then the time won't be too intimidating for viewers to have a go at, because I really do want them to listen to what we've said, and I don't know how many would be interested in this sort of depth, but we'll find out. Recent times I've been making videos speaking about all this stuff that is said in the Bible. It just doesn't make any sense, because what has happened is, of course, there's been certain powers that have closed off all of the doorways into all this sort of stuff. They're only giving you the odd avenue and street here and there. They're not giving you the staircases. They're not giving you the stairwells. They're not giving you these side doors which you go off into the real realms of what it is to be spiritual. So anybody that's an adherent of the Bible, Old or New Testament, whatever they think, will never get them into the kingdom of God. I'm absolutely convinced about that. There's nothing in there that I have ever come upon which has remotely got me into the kingdom of God. I've got into the kingdom of God by meditation, by taking entheogens, by any route except whispering nonsensical rubbish from the pages of the Bible. And I'm decrying that heaven is anywhere except here on earth. Heaven is a state of mind, the same as hell. Everything is within consciousness. I don't believe there's any individuated places. There's no hell where you're going to burn this and the other. I've been to hell and I've been to heaven, and they're all states of consciousness. There can't be anything else, because as conscious beings, everything has to be in consciousness. And if consciousness never dies, then these places can't be outside of human consciousness. That's the way I look at it, philosophically and logically. Now, when we search for what is heaven in the Bible, we can't find it. We find, like 20 lines here and there spanning 2,000 years of scripture, which speak a little bit here and a little bit there. And then, Jesus will say, I reserve a place for you, in my kingdom. And then in another breath, he'll say, heaven is here on earth. And then he'll say that the kingdom of God is within you. And then my Father who art in heaven, what's going on? Is he here or is he there or where is he? And in the end, I just go, look, I'm not listening to this double speak bullshit. I'm going through my own avenues as a spiritually gifted human being, and I can get into these realms through the stillness of my mind and body, into that space of samadhi, which the Buddhists would say it's the step below death for reaching the height of heavens. I've experienced heaven here on earth. I experience it to some degree, lesser degrees, every single day. Nobody will ever find heaven by reading the Bible, because it's not there. It is simply not there. It's all Maya. It's smoke and mirrors. It's an illusion. But when you read Kabbalah, Kabbalah will tell you how to get to heaven, and it's through your union with God through deep yoga meditation. That's it, exactly. That's the way. But of course, all that's hidden and all that's secret. And so all this stuff in the Old and New Testament, just nonsense for the punter. What do you think about that?
I basically agree, of course. It's not in the Bible. Of course, if it would be in the Bible, I would have no issues getting connected to Christians, because they reject me all the time.
Right.
They say, where is it in the Bible? Where is it in the Bible? Where is it in the Bible? This is what I always hear. I'm coming to Christian and say, okay, listen, you have issues with demons. I know something about it. I want to tell you for you to get some help, inspiration, yes, to change something. And what do they say? No, this is just the Bible.
Yeah.
Finish. Yeah. I don't want to know anything what you have to say. I'm not interested in all of it.
Yeah.
Well, and some say then, where is it in the Bible? Where is it in the Bible? And then you have to prove it. And even if you prove it, then they say, oh, I don't understand it like that, and I don't know, and blah, 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 blah.
They don't understand it in any case. They don't have the wherewithal to understand it. That's why they're adherents of those silly dogmatic books. Because anybody that is intelligent, then they go on their own individuated path, because the kingdom of God is within each and every one of us. And Jesus says all that he could do, we can do more. All we've got to do is follow the same path. And that path is learning all this stuff, all this Gnostic stuff. And by the time, we learn that we are shards of God consciousness, and that our thoughts and our imagination create our reality, then we can do all these incredible things. And then when we are deeply rooted in meditation, we open up our consciousness to allow the Christos to rise, or to spirit to speak with us via our intuition and those sort of things. I'm really looking forward actually to you reading my book, because once you've done that, then you'll have obviously a vastly deeper understanding of what I'm speaking about, and in turn I have to read yours. So which one would you say start on?
Get the complete edition.
Right.
Start with the first book, second, third, then the final revelation, and the last one doesn't matter.
So the final revelation, would there be any point in anybody buying that one or reading that one without doing all the rest of the homework, without reading the root of?
Yes, it's for Christians that believe in the second coming of Christ, that specifically those that have such rapture dreams, prophetic dreams.
Right. Okay.
Yes, it's just for them, because they have the God's order. It's a command. They are commanded in their prophetic dreams, in the spirit, by angelic spirits, by Jesus, by God. They are commanded to spread, to talk about these rapture dreams. Right. It's a command, and they know it. And they know, even the dreams tell them, the spirits tell them, that if they do not talk about this openly, they will be left behind.
Right. So on the one hand, you've got spirits telling you that you can't talk about some stuff, but then you can talk about other stuff.
Yes, they have no initiation or something like that.
Yeah. So if you have a prophetic dream whereby, I don't know, Jesus, God speaks to you, angels speak to you, or something like that, are we supposed to speak about all those things?
Please talk about it. I mean, if you would not have talked about your experience openly, we would not have met.
Yes, exactly.
And that's the point. If all those San-Met people, I mean, there are millions of people, and they're like hidden. It's a hidden, well, some even consider it to be like the hidden fifth world religion. It's because there are so many people doing this, but they are all kept secret. All of them are being told, you are not allowed to talk about it. And this has a huge impact, because if these people would talk openly about their spiritual experiences, this world would not be the same.
Yes.
It's unbelievable what these people, San-Met people, their experience, what they have. It's unbelievable. The highest experiences you could ever imagine. Mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. And this is the reason why they are not allowed to talk about it, because this is the real deal. Okay, what should I say? I'm doing this like 3 decades, and I've met so many people. And when you read my book, you will see also that all of us have strong issues with entities, with demonic spirits, with possession, very, very, very severe attacks, all of them. And it's tremendous, really. So thank God. And well, I've told you that I want to create a spiritual movement, and a basic part of it is that everyone is allowed to talk about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't see why we should keep quiet and not tell the people, and let us suppress from these negative entities. It's a suppression, and the masters follow it, but I don't see why should I follow it. I mean, I don't initiate anyone.
Yeah.
This is an important part. I tell the people, okay, plug your ear and listen. Yes, and try it, do it. Nobody does it. Up to now, nobody did it. Nobody did it. People just
No, but I'm always, telling people, how to do this and do that. And, there's one of the things that I say to people, and I think now and again someone has a little bit of a go, but nothing too serious. If you take the palms of your hands like this and you press the palms onto your eyeballs and you push your eyes back a couple of millimeters, it's uncomfortable. You'll see all phosphenes initially, and then you'll see a gathering of brilliant bright light in the middle, and then slowly it will absolutely envelop your whole mind. So you are in the brightest brilliant light that you've ever seen in your life. That's in your head. And then that light will fade, and then you'll see all different sorts of geometry, and then you'll see the cosmos with stars and galaxies, and then you can focus on different stars and constellations, and you can go towards them. And then as you get nearer and nearer, some stars or planets will open up and you can travel through them, and then you can actually look like you three-dimensionally. You can see, and when you close your eyes like this, you can see geometry. You see faces making manifest and all different sorts of stuff that you can't comprehend. But then when that goes away, and it's pretty painful at this time, you keep looking, then you're in the cosmos. And you can focus on planets and stars, and you can head towards them, travel towards them. So that might be something that people might want to try. And then after you've done it, your eyes are a bit blurred and everything. You need to rub them because you need to do all that. But every single time you can see the most brilliant bright light in your head. The light is truly within you.
Okay, this is very interesting, of course. Question is, did anyone comprehend it? Did anyone follow this instruction?
A few people that they said they see different things to varying degrees.
Did
but
it be the same like you, like the slide and stars and stuff? Did others have the same experience doing
not
the
the
same?
same, no. And I don't think people try it long enough because they don't stay with the discomfort. You have to stay with it as long as you possibly can. If you can stay with it a minute, then that's as most as you can do. But that's when everything gets very, very clear and you're in the cosmos.
I could imagine that you, with your personal background in your personal state, specifically have access to such kind of experiences by doing this, while many others do not. So it's like also, it's the same. So I tell you, close your ears, plug your ear and listen. But the majority of people, they won't hear anything. Finish. But I guess, I'm quite sure you will hear something.
Right.
Because you are prepared. You have a background.
Yes. Now, it's something that's very worthwhile saying here. I'm an aphantasiac. That means that I don't see visions when I close my eyes. I don't see anything. It's total blackness. And if I want to imagine something, I never ever get a picture of anything. But I can have the most vivid and supernatural experiences in varying ways, and I get hypnagogia and hypnopompia visions. Hypnagogia when you're falling asleep, hypnopompia when you're waking up. I can see crystal clear landscapes. Very often I see like televisions with super Bluetooth high definition. So I can see all this stuff, but because I'm an aphantasiac, which means I cannot see anything. If you ask me to visualize an apple or banana, can't do it. Nothing. I am very Platonic. I get ideas. You see, I've tried this with my friends, and because there's also, saying that, they envision this and vision that, and they tell me about what they're seeing. And I had to ask, I have to say, look, are you really, really, really seeing stuff, or are you just saying it? Because I didn't know about aphantasiac symptoms until somehow I came upon it. And then I'd realized that all of my life, when people saying that they can see things, they actually could. And my mate would close his eyes and say, yeah, there's an apple. It's red on one side, it's green on the other side. It's turning around now. It's got the core coming out of it, this, that, and the other. I'm like, well, that's unfathomable to me because I can never ever do that. But I've got something which I consider is over and above that. And what I've got a Platonic idea of an apple, which is all the apples that have ever been thought of in the cosmos. They can flow through my mind, one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. So I've got a billion ideas of what an apple is, but I don't have one thing to constrain me. And so I think, well, my mind obviously works, very different to lots of people's, because I have a very good memory, and I can envision many, many different things. And what I said to my friend, I said, look, close your eyes and think of a chair. And he went, okay. I said, tell me what the chair's like. Oh, it's tall back, it's this, it's wood, it's brown, it's light, it's la, 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 la. And I'm like, wow. And then when they say, what's in your mind? I'm like, well, every conceivable chair that's ever existed. Because it's this Platonic thing. He considers that the whole world is only ideas. And this is idealism. And that's my philosophy also. There is nothing of any substance here. It's all a dream in the mind of God. And so we think things into being, but I can't see them.
How do you call, what was the word?
Aphantasiac.
Fantasiac.
Aphantasiac. APHA.
Aphantasiac.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was an aphantasiac.
Right.
Until 2015.
Right, where you couldn't see anything when you closed your eyes.
I had the most severe difficulties to imagine anything.
Right.
I didn't even try to imagine anything. And I was feeling like I don't need that. I even don't want that. I was feeling like free. Okay, this part. And yes, it's in some way it's an advantage. But when I restarted my spiritual path for the, I don't know, 11th time or whatever, well, I learned that imagination is really a very helpful power on the spiritual path up to a certain degree. If you work in the astral and causal planes, imagination is essential.
Yeah.
And there is an essential tool when you imagine a spinning disc or wheel or fan or whatever. This is an energy transformation harvesting method that is based on imagination. And I guarantee you, if you try this, to practice this, then you will be able to imagine, because you will get help from the spirits.
Right.
There is a part in our brain, or maybe even several parts, that are related to this ability to imagine things.
Mm.
And some people have this ability like blocked, or you could say maybe even not developed. But my personal conviction is that certain people like you and me, they are not allowed to imagine, because imagination is creation power. And if you create a thing in your mind, then in the spirit world, it gets real. Not in this world, but in the spirit world, it's very real.
Right.
And the spirits in your body, in your microcosmic body, they perceive it. They are in your imagination reality. So if you imagine a storm, the spirits in you are literally in a storm.
Right.
And it's very uncomfortable for them.
Right.
And they want you to imagine a storm because they suffer in the storm.
So we
For
become like some sort of Zeus or Apollo up in the sky. When we're thinking about things, it happens on Earth. Only when we're thinking about it, it happens up in the obverse, up in the spirit world. So if we've got some sort of a battle going on with spirits, it's happening somewhere in another dimension.
yes, yes. You can imagine words in the world in the spirit, and in the spirit they get real.
Mm.
And this it depends on your ability to imagine, on your mental imagination power. And the better you can imagine, for example, spirits create dreams by imagination.
Mm.
Well, most of our dreams are created by imagination of a spirit.
Yeah. So I dream pictorially.
What?
Pictorially.
What is?
I see pictures. I see visions when I dream. Um, you see, Freud and Jung, they always used to speak about little dreams and big dreams. The little dreams are the everyday stuff that's very just mediocre and doesn't really mean anything. The big dreams are something that are so vivid and so powerful, and you know there's a message there. And so I think most of us have little dreams and big dreams. Now, when I have these spiritual experiences, my consciousness enters another level, like you say, the causal level, something like that. It's absolutely pristine, perfect, immaculate beyond measure. And so I know that I can see, my consciousness can see. But in everyday dreams, it's all very, very grainy. It's like the low level in the astral, dark and grainy and kind of like monochrome. A little bit about sepia, maybe brown, and this that, and the other. But then there are occasions when I'll see beautiful colors and things like that. And so the ability's there. And when I take psychedelics, I can see everything absolutely crystal clear. Like DMT and mushrooms and all sorts of things. And so I've always wondered about that. I don't recollect that I've ever been able to visualize things like that. But then I conclude, well, I seem to be better off because I've got more of a broader spectrum, because I'm not contained to one thing. I don't think I'd want that. That's not how I am. I'm very Platonic. With the ideas. Think of a chair. I go, what sort of chair? How would you like it? Do you want it making out of wood? Do you want it making out of gold? Do you want it making out of wicker? Do you want it making out of wire? Shall I make one for you out of grass or from pond reeds? What sort of a chair do you want? I can go on and on and on and on and on, as my mind just flows, whereas other people, oh yeah, I see a chair, oh, it's wooden, it's this and that. Really? No, I don't want that. I don't want that level of
I also
containment.
don't want that, and I don't do that. I only imagine if I really want it, intentionally,
Yeah.
as a tool, as a spiritual exercise tool. Otherwise, not. I don't do it, but I know many people do it, especially women. So I heard it from them quite often. When I'm talking about something, they say, like, I heard often, like, stop it. I see all this stuff in my mind. I see it. Oh, it's so overwhelming and it's too much and stop it. I say, well, I see nothing, of course. I don't naturally. I don't do it. So I'm the same. Like
Yeah.
you.
When I was training to be a hypnotherapist, when you start reading and training to be a hypnotherapist, then you are supposed to give guided hypnotherapy to your clients, and you speak them through visualization. And when I'm on one of these courses, and I was always under the assumption that people were just using their imagination and they couldn't actually see anything because mine was completely black. But then it turned out that people do actually see staircases going down to beautiful beaches and this, that, and the other, whereas my mind just builds up the ideas of all these sort of things. And I can, like I say, build up a much more detailed picture, but I don't see anything specific. And I'm like, well, that's really bizarre because if you see something specific, then how does your mind choose one particular beach over a billion potentials? How does your mind do that? That sounds more absurd than not seeing anything to me.
Yes, I know what you mean. It's in some way absurd. In many cases, spirits are involved, and we see imaginative stuff they create for us according to what we want to imagine.
Right.
Because of course, but of course, it's also a question of detail. So there are, of course, different grades of detail. You can imagine a staircase, and you can do it consciously with certain elements. Then you say it's like that and that, and the rest is like blurry, for example.
Yeah.
So normally the imaginations are not so clear. They are always blurry. Normally but just when you get into it more and more and more, then they get more clear and clear. And there are normally always a spirit is involved.
Right. So when we deal with mnemonics,
What?
mnemonics.
Mnemonic? What is this?
Yeah, it's the visualization of things to aid your memory.
Yes.
Mnemonics.
I know this. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
mnemonics. And so what you do is you go into a room and you look around the room, and then you take a note of where everything is. And then if you want to remember everything in that room, then you visualize something, and then you create something unusual to relate that to. For instance, if I'm looking around my room and I come in and I see that tapestry on the back, I imagine a pink elephant walking through the wood, and then I'll go, oh yeah, I remember that because I saw the pink elephant in it, and the pink elephant was walking towards this particular door, which looked like an entrance into a magical wonderland, which is basically what my door is like. I've got the green man on that door.
Yes, the pink elephant.
Yeah, so we do all those sort of things, and then the absurdity sticks with us and gives us prompts to everything.
Yes, this is the spirit. If you do not intentionally try to visualize certain things intentionally, yes, with a system, or like first think, then imagine, and like being led into such detailed stuff, then it's a spirit. He is leading you.
Right.
Normally, but the thing is, like, the trick with this is that you get conscious. It's about getting conscious, because it's an absurd thing. It's completely out of normality. It's abnormal. It's absurd.
What's absurd?
The pink elephant.
Oh, the pink elephant. Yes. Yeah.
Entering through a door into Wonderland in your
Yeah.
tapestry. This is
Yeah.
completely abnormal, and in that moment, something gets active in you that makes you conscious.
Yes. Yes.
That's why you remember,
Yes.
because our memory is related to our being conscious.
Yeah.
Yes, like awake,
Yeah.
conscious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good point, because we have to have a heightened state of awareness if we're going to be remembering. Now, I'm often saying to my viewers about the importance of really reading. You see, because lots of people they'll pick up a book such as this one, and then and then they think they're reading it, they think they're absorbing it, and then you go, stop. Okay, so what's that book about? It's about this and about that. Is that all? What, 2 lines when you've just read 200 pages? Come on, you've just said it's about that much. You've evidently not remembered anything, and they don't. And so what I do is I'm conscious when I'm reading.
Yes.
And of course, I had to learn this because I was reading, and I'm always reading deep esoteric stuff. I never read for pleasure. Some fiction. I can't imagine why I would ever want to do that. You know,
Yeah.
I'm always reading factual stuff and gathering up the knowledge. So therefore, I have to be very, very conscious of what I'm reading. Take time and contemplate and pause now and again and absorb it and archive it and shelve it, you know, and highlight some stuff like this. Because when you highlight, then of course you bring it into another level of reality.
Of
And
course.
so yeah, different levels of consciousness. And this is what I'm always saying to my viewers. And you know, one of the things that many people appreciate is how I've helped them to look
I
at
don't know
nature.
if you hear me, but
Yeah, I can hear you.
okay. There's some delay because my connection was like stuttering.
Oh, okay.
But
So what part did you get to?
it's fine. Well, maybe you could repeat the last.
Yeah, I'm saying that my viewers, they appreciate how I've introduced them to stopping, being present, and absorbing what it is they're seeing, and
Yeah.
look closely, because everyone can walk around and it's just like this. And you know, with our vision, we only actually ever focus on a very, very small part in front of our minds, like this. Our eyes are not capable of focusing on anything else except a very little bit. So what we do is we scout around and we build the picture like this, and then our mind invents the rest. Because it's used to surroundings, and then it goes, oh well, the sky is obviously up there, the trees are obviously around there, when there may not be, you know. And so if someone says to you, stop, what's over on your right? And you go, oh, there's a big tree coming out here, and there's some this, that, and the other. And you look around there, well, no, it's not. You see, your mind has just invented that. And that's what the mind does. It invents an illusion.
Yes.
And it projects it onto the world. So I say to people, look, you've got to be very conscious. That's all you see. So you have to move it around and be conscious of that all the time and absorb all the details in that little spectrum. And then when you go down, you hone in to the small details, and then you come back out, then you've brought things into a greater level of focus. So then when your mind is building it up, it's building it up in a greater detail.
Yes, you have to. Otherwise, you don't get it. It's very simple.
Yeah.
If you don't do this, then you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're reading.
Yes.
You don't read. Someone else is reading.
Yeah.
That's a,
But I'm
and
speaking about looking at the world around you. You don't actually see what's there, and
yes,
unless you are conscious, focusing on exactly what you are looking at, and you are saying to yourself, okay, well, yeah, there's a bush there, there's a path there, you know, trees are there. You look around, and I'm always doing this. I'm always, whenever I'm walking around, I'm gathering all the data of my surroundings, and that's just how I've always been. It's been a natural thing to me. Whereas the vast majority of people are not like that. And, you know, I would be walking in the woods with people, and someone would say to me, oh, let's go down here for a change. And we just came from there. And it's like, no, we never. And I said, well, we absolutely did. Oh, yeah, sure. How much do you want to bet then? And I go, okay, let's put a tenner on it, right? As you go over that brow of the hill, 3/4 of the way down, there is a branch with a 40-degree kink in it, and it's 2.5 inches in diameter, and it's over a third of the path on the way up. Oh, okay, let's go and have a look. Look down there, and that's it. Exactly. And they can't believe, because they wasn't conscious of that when we came up.
yes.
So different levels of consciousness we're dealing with, aren't we?
This is your special skill. I mean, this is not normal.
Mm.
It's not normal, and it's very hard. So I personally, I'm trying to practice all the time, and that's why I'm not aware and not conscious about my environment most of the time, because I simultaneously focus on my third eye, like praying, calling God's names. I'm listening to the sound current, trying to listen to the sound,
Yeah.
and all these things. Yes, all the time. And I am not interested in being aware of my environment.
Wow.
So I try to use the time in the best way possible, and I have no gain like being conscious about the things surrounding me. This is my personal view. But yes, I mean, it's difficult. It's there is also a limitation. You have like a filter in your brain. There's some like a switch. Yes, some people have the switch turned off and they perceive everything and they're getting crazy. They're getting mad.
Yeah.
For them. So it has to be like, but there's one thing that is very interesting. Basically, everything that is in front of you and what is like being perceived in some way is stored within yourself. It's somewhere, even if you are completely unconscious and completely unaware, it's stored, and you can have access to these memories. You can learn it, or you can get it even by the help of the spirit. So if you ask God, this is what I'm doing. Well, I'm saying I say to God when I pray, I say, well, praying is for me like communication with God. Yes. And then I say, okay, you are my memory.
Right.
Okay, tell me where I can find this and that.
Right.
And then it pops up.
Yeah.
It's somewhere stored in there.
Yeah,
This is also
because neuroscientists, brain surgeons, they've done these experiments whereby they're operating on someone's brain, and at the same time, the neuroscientist is there just to do some tests, and they probe certain parts of the brain, and instantly memories are clear as a bell from 30, 40 years ago in the patient. And so it shows that the memories are all in the unconscious, every single thing we've ever done. And that's why we can live these kind of like automated lives, because we don't need to concentrate on the minutiae, because it's already been stored and there's something else, the unconscious is taking care of that. So then we can be more myopic with what we do. But I've always been able to read a book and have a conversation with me, like in the left brain or the right brain, as well as absorbing what's in the book. So I've known that both sides of my brain can work independently from each other. And I found that, well, that's kind of weird, because so many times I'm just thinking and I've got a conversation going about something else, but I am actually concentrating and absorbing the information in the book at the same time.
Yes. That's very easy. You can do 5 things at the same time by 5 spirits in you. One spirit is focusing on how you walk. The other spirit is focusing on what you look at. The next spirit is focusing on your thoughts, and the next spirit is like being concerned with communication.
Right.
You can do all but it's not you, it's the spirits in you.
Yes, and so this is really interesting again, because I've always been saying there's not just one spirit in here, there's loads of spirits. And so when we are aware of these spirits, then we can allocate different jobs to them. And so I would allocate one job to the reading of the book. I would allocate another one to the conversation with an avatar. And so there's lots of things that are going on. And all the time, and I've said to my friend, because we go out walking every 2 weeks, and we're philosophizing and everything, and I'm always looking around everything and all the details, and every so often when I'm absolutely paying attention to him and he doesn't think I am, or didn't used to in the early days, and I'm going around like this, and I don't forget a single word he ever says, and then all of a sudden I'll go, come here, and he'll go, well, what? And I'll go, come here. And it's kind of like, look, come here, mate. I want your head to come exactly here where my eyes are. I want to show you something, right? And he's like, what? And I'm like, fucking there. And I get annoyed. I'm just trying to show you some fucking thing. I'm not trying to fucking put a spell on you or something. I just want to fucking show you what I'm seeing. And then I show him all the colours of a rainbow in a tiny bead of rain glistening on a blade of grass, which just caught my eye at a fraction. If it's there, wouldn't. If there, I'm scanning, and I see all these things all over the place. and it's kind of incredible. So over the years, I've done many videos of pointing out to people these tiny little things that nobody's ever seen before in their lives, and now they say, "Well, you opened up my consciousness into looking closer. I never saw anything." And then there was an occasion when I was with a particular friend, and I always used to speak to him about look at the hue. Don't you think that's kind of the luminous, that green there? It's really fluorescent, and look at how the different tinges, and look at how and I'm speaking, I'm waxing lyrical about one tree and the leaves and everything, and he's like, "Well, yeah, it's nice," and I'm like, "No, he's not seeing it. He's not seeing it." A week later, when we'd done DMT, the next day he comes running to me. He says, "I know what you're saying. I know what you mean now. I see it. I see it. I see it. I see everything. All what you were saying, I see it." He had his consciousness opened up. And so there's a lot of what I see I attribute to psychedelics, entheogens, opening up my spectrum of consciousness into the glory of God. And once you've seen it, you never unsee it. And then you're living in a different world. And that's what I'm always saying to my viewers. I evidently live in a very different world. The world I live in is actually heaven. And I can't think the life of me why I would want to go somewhere where the streets are paved with fucking gold. What would I want that for when I've got, grass and trees and birds and bees? And this is heaven. For God's sake, people, wake up. You're in heaven already. You've been hypnotized. You've had your soul stole away from you by some evil demon. Evidently, some demiurge, which has told you that you're sinners here, you're worthless, you're evil, and your only salvation is just to forget about this life here and concentrate on the one in the Never Land. Don't you think that's evil? I think it's absolutely evil.
The thing is that you are very special, and you have a very good background that is very different from most people. And our attitudes are also very important. Yes. So you can do, for example, if I listen to some music and you or someone else, it might be like evil in his mind, but divine in my mind. Because I listen to this with different associations than this person, than that person. That person has like evil associations, and this is why this person is affected in an evil way. Well, this depends on your state of consciousness, of course.
Yeah.
Well, and this is true. I mean, it's really true. I listen to hardcore stuff. Yes, really, I do. I listen to music that is considered to be very evil. Some of it, really evil. But in my mind, it's turned into positivity because of my personal associations. It's like turn around, and then it gets positive.
Right.
This is what it's well. This has to be understood, and this is also a practical thing. Yes.
Do you think it could be that the music may actually be evil, but because what is listening to it is also evil, and so then of course it doesn't appear to be evil?
Okay, if there is someone singing about suicide, killing, murdering, prostitution, violence, blind violence, celebrating violence, then this is clearly evil. And this is real. This is happening. People sing such things, horrible things. They are celebrating violence. They are celebrating things like suicidal kind of thoughts and feelings and stuff. This is so evil. And people really kill themselves because of such music. Yes, because it's giving them a romantic touch and giving like arguments, like, oh, this is so beautiful, like kill yourself. It's beautiful. You get another life and this and that. For example, there are so many examples. So you can objectively say there is evil. There are evil texts. Okay, let me say evil text. So, but there are also positive texts. They are talking about positive things. This is also objectively, it's objective. You can see it. It's clear. But there are also things in between. So, okay, and now it depends on the mind of the listener. Yes, it's very clear. So normally people that are listening to such evil stuff, they are affected in an evil way.
Whoa.
Because they suck it in. Oh yeah, nigger, and kill you and stuff, and they get really violent and
It's all subliminal hypnosis, isn't it? Lots of that stuff. And, if people have the receptors for that, then I don't know. I find that quite questionable why anybody would want to listen to anything like that with evil, negative connotations.
Well, it feels good. It's fun. And there is an urge because people are consuming stuff. They are doing things that affect them negatively. Yes, they do it. I mean, for example, doing drugs. This is a very good example. So if you're doing drugs, it's a different thing as when people on the street are doing drugs.
Different drugs.
Huh?
Different drugs.
Also, of course, also different drugs. But I mean, basically, for example, if people like smoking, how do you call weed?
Weed, yeah.
Yes, I smoked myself. In my youth, I did drugs a lot. Psychedelic drugs and this and that. Well, it's long time ago. I stopped it completely. But you know that you open up. You do for energies and stuff. It's coming to you. Is it like that or not? Yes, of course. And if a normal people, that is a normal person, normal guy that is completely not spiritual at all, that is just completely unconscious and does not have any idea about anything, and he's just smoking weed and listening to such evil shit, then he's affected very negatively. Of course, he's opening up energetically. But if you focus on God, if you have a very high spiritual degree of maturity and stuff, then it's a completely different thing. People even can get some kind of enlightenment or being brought forward on their spiritual path,
right,
by consuming, doing drugs.
Yeah, so it's all the vibration, the transmutation, the interpretation, all these different sorts of things. Okay, well, we've done 2 hours and 40 minutes now, just gone over, and so better wrap this one up. And so obviously we'll have so much more to talk about, and we can do this, on another occasion. And obviously, there's quite an extensive amount to talk about. So, within a week or something, we could do it again. If you've got the time, I'll upload this one. See, people are interested in this sort of thing. But of course, we're interested in any case, regardless. And so I speak with people, from different trains of thought. We'll always leave it a week or something in between before we have the second one, because the length. And I always would like to try and endeavour to do an hour and a half at the most, but it's really difficult when we get into such depths of conversation.
Okay.
But
it's up to you. I'm ready. I can talk the whole night. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's up to you. You say stop.
Yeah. It's enough here because now it's like 1 o'clock here.
Yes.
It's 2 o'clock where you are, isn't it? 2 o'clock.
We have two.
Yeah.
It's 2 o'clock.
Yeah. But 3 hours is a good amount of time for me. So yeah, that was wonderful conversation, Edward. We'll be in touch, and we'll do it again. And
I'm really grateful.
there's an enormous amount to talk about.
It's so nice to talk with a person like you.
Well,
I don't. Yes, I didn't do it for a long time.
right. Yeah, and of course, I've been endeavouring to do it for a long time, but the people that can hold conversations such as ours are very far and few between. They don't have the depth, which is it's kind of normal. But having said that, if there were people queuing up, it would be massively too exhausting in any case. So it works out; it's kind of perfect in any case, just to have the odd person here and there that can do this. Yeah. All right. Well, nice to meet you, Edward, and we'll talk soon. Yeah.
Yes, it was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Nice one. See you soon.
So, thank you. Okay. Take
Bye.
care. And be blessed and everything.
Yeah.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye now.